But before I do, I just want to give a massive, massive thank you to Katie for this amazing event and trusting me that I can do it and just letting me be here. It's just incredible. So Toby was given to me from day dot. So day I was born 35 years ago by my dad's friend, and he was a big comfort for me growing up. I would like take him everywhere with me. I'd take him to the shops, to the woods, to the park, like everywhere, as you do when you're little. And then, you know, as you get older, you don't really need your teddy bear anymore. Well, I hope you don't. So he kind of got hidden away in my bedroom and in my wardrobe later on. So I'm just going to pop him down for now, and he will be back later. So basically growing up, I witnessed and experienced a lot of domestic violence, physical and emotional abuse in my home. Me and my mum did from my stepdad. And I was a bit of a protector from a young age, so I had two little sisters that I had to look after as well, and had to grow up quite quickly. I would often lock myself in my room, so I would, just to keep myself happy, I would like keep myself occupied with writing poems, writing in my diary, listening to music, singing, playing computer games, dancing, whatever I could do to just keep myself busy, you know, my mind busy, keep myself away and happy. Sometimes I'd be outside for hours, not wanting to go home because of the stuff that was going on at home. And sometimes I would, if I was in my room and I felt brave enough, I would leave the room and try and stop the fights. So, as you can imagine, being between the ages of 7 to 13, I couldn't really do much. So, there was, you know, two grown adults going at it, and you know, you can't really do much in that circumstance. So I often felt quite helpless, useless, and not good enough. So I didn't feel like a good enough daughter, a good enough sister. I didn't feel like I was doing enough. I also grew up with several beliefs, like that I wasn't worth seeing, that I wasn't worth hearing, and that my feelings didn't matter. So as you can imagine, getting into teenage years and my early 20s, I needed a lot of attention, especially from men, and I lacked a lot of confidence. I hated my body because I had a lot of emotional abuse towards my body and laughter, and so I didn't want to look after my body and respect it because I didn't like my body, basically. So I found drink at the age of 14, and I drank for many years. Sometimes it was for fun, as you do with your friends, but a lot of the time it was like to build my confidence, to be liked, to, you know, just make myself happy, bury anything that was there. Yeah, and I disrespected my body a lot as well. It started to have an impact on my relationships in my mid-20s, and I was in a quite serious relationship. I was really happy in a relationship for like 6 years. And then it started to go down, and we started to kind of drift apart, and it then brought up a lot of old trauma, I guess. So I started drinking a lot more, again, disrespecting myself, disrespecting my partner, and yeah, just started having an impact then. At the same time, I got made redundant about a week before Christmas, and it caused a lot of depression. It made me drink even more, and had a lot of rejection. So I was out of work for about 4 months, and as you can imagine, being rejected time after time, it just knocks your confidence, and you're just like really low and just felt really small. After 4 months, I found a job. I was quite happy to start with, but it was the worst job I'd ever had. So I had to not be myself. I wasn't myself in the job. I was doing like a sales job, and I didn't really want to do it, and I was like, I had like a mask on a lot of the time, I had like fake smiles going on, and you know, I wasn't being myself. And also my manager was a bit of a bully. So instead of supporting me, so I'd gone through the breakup, split up with my boyfriend. I'd had to move back home to my mum's, and didn't really want to. Obviously I was feeling this small anyway, had really low confidence in myself, so as you can imagine, I didn't do my job very well. I was making mistakes, And my manager, instead of supporting me, she said these words which really hurt me, and it kind of turned everything around in a way though. So she said, "You need a rocket up your arse." And I was just like, what? I think in that moment I was literally like, you just aren't seeing me, like you're not seeing who I am, like you're not supporting me. And it kind of made me just listen to myself more, and I was just like, I need to listen to my own needs here, like I need to do something about this, I'm not happy. And it was kind of a big catalyst for change really. So I basically did get a rocket up my arse out of that job. And it was then that everything changed. So just by listening to myself, listening to who I was, realising who I was, I got out of there and I was so happy that day, and I got a new job with lovely people, the hours were better, the pay was better. I've been there 9 years now. I got in a car after 3 years of not driving to be able to get there. I got a new relationship, I moved out into my own place, and I started a counselling course which I'd wanted to do since I was 14. Because I always wanted to help people, as you can imagine, I always wanted to help people because I felt helpless, and I wanted to make a change and support people who were struggling. So after 4 years of doing the counselling course, going through my own self-healing, personal development, my own counselling, I also found intuitive gifts, like that I could read oracle cards and angel cards and help people in that way. I've finally been able to help people in the way that I wanted to. And this is when Toby comes back. So on the counselling course, we went away for the weekend, stayed away with the group, and we had to kind of, didn't have to, they just said that we could reflect on our experiences the weekend. So I like journaling anyway, so I spent about half an hour journaling one morning, and I was journaling about my own insecurities and things that would come back for me. And I had a major realisation, and I literally broke down in tears after about half an hour. I was crying for about half an hour. And it was like a huge shift in me. It was like a door had opened. It just made sense, like all the people in my life, like how they'd affected me, how they'd shaped me into who I am now. And so when I got home, I ran to my wardrobe. I dug Toby out of the bin bag that he was in with all of the other rubbish that I didn't want anymore. And I looked at him, and I looked at his big brown scratched eyes, his wonky nose, his split tongue, his tatty body, and in that moment I saw myself. And I realised that all of the times that I had been saying to myself that I wasn't good enough for other people, I hadn't realised that I wasn't being good enough to myself. And so I just broke down in tears, and so I think that's it basically. But so the lessons that I've learned in all of this is that you're going to have things in your life that you don't want, but they're going to teach you what you do want. And if you really listen closely to yourself, you'll realise that it's okay sometimes to abandon people, places and situations that don't serve you in order to stop you from abandoning yourself. And Toby has taught me that no matter what you look like, no matter how beaten, how bruised, or how many scars that you have, you're still lovable just as you are. So I was going to end there, but I wanted to share a poem I wrote myself. Poetry was something that I used to write as a child to help me, but it kind of got hidden away with everything else over the years. And in 2016 I started writing again, and I entered a competition and I became a published poet, which I was quite proud of. I also get my poetry from my nan. So my nan is terminally ill at the moment, still with us, thankfully. But yeah, she's an amazing poet, and so I felt like it was only right that I share my poetry with for her as well, and to kind of show her strength as well. So this is the warrior within. I've suffered in silence, I've battled through fights, I've taken some punches and words full of spite. I've seen and heard things young ears shouldn't hear. I've overcome challenges every damn year. I've been rejected time after time and had many a high mountain to climb. I felt loss and heartbreak, many tears I have shed. Illnesses suffered, caused by stress in my head. But here I am now, oh how I've survived. All the courage and strength has kept me alive. I wrote through the sadness, I sang through the pain. I reached out for kindness and danced off the shame. I walked on my own, peaceful and calm. Anything to help keep me safe from harm. We all have it in us, a warrior underneath. Listen to your needs, find yourself believed. Pick yourself up, you know what to do. That brave, strong person is within you.
Bloody hell.
I know.
I've still got some tissues, it's going to be emotional on me, thanks. Thank you, Leanne, I know that was hard. Bless you.
That was brilliant.
It was brilliant. She came to London with me as just kind of my company in March, and I said to her, you should be on stage, you should speak, and she was like, oh, no. So really, I created all this just for Leanne. So I should get you on stage. Thank you, that's beautiful, thank you. Our next speaker is the lovely Miss Selina Bandle. This lovely lady only had a baby in June. I know, I gasped. Gorgeous little bloke. And she is an incredible woman, and so she's like a little sunshine thing. She is, bless her, she's got a heart of gold. She is a counsellor, she helps trauma victims. She's hypersensitive and she's an empath, so be nice, because she'll know if you're not. So, welcome Selina to the stage!
Thank you for your time today.
I will pass these around.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
That's
you.
okay, I'm helping today.
So they
I'll
are
start
just
from that.
just a little something for yourself. They're a positive affirmation. Take as many as you like, there's more to go around, but it's just something I want you to repeat throughout the next couple of days in your life, just kind of like an exercise to see tangible results. So I'm a firm believer in positive affirmations and how they change who you are as a person and how you see the world. So this is just a little exercise. If you don't want one, absolutely fine, not a problem. But yes, I'm Selina, and thank you ever so much for listening. This is the first time I've ever spoken about my journey at all, very similar to Leanne. I'm not going to be as emotive as Leanne because I can't delve into that side publicly. But I'm going to talk about what happened to me, why it's relevant, what I learned from it, and then what you can take away from that to apply to your everyday lives, and hopefully give you the life that you deserve, and ultimately make you happy, because that's the aim of the game, really, isn't it? It's what we all really want. So I like to class myself as a trauma warrior rather than a trauma survivor, because I don't want to just survive, I want to thrive despite what everything has happened to me. And that I also like the idea of a woman on horseback, like being able to, with her strong sword, jumping over her hurdles and saying, no, screw you world, I have survived this. So for me, that's exactly what trauma does. Trauma leaves a little imprint on our hearts and our lives, and no matter what we go through, everybody's story is different. But if you go through that trauma, you develop survival pattern techniques to survive that situation. But I firmly believe that even after that situation has left our lives, we still have that survival behavioural pattern. And for me, it personally changed who I was as a person, and I didn't like that person. But because we believe that's who we are, then that feeds into that negative self-esteem. So I'm going to talk about the battle that I survived, the aftermath, and then the amazing tools that I picked up along the way that completely changed my thought process and my life. And hopefully you can take a little bit away and implement it into your lives. So apologies, I will read this section because it's about the trauma. It's easier for me to read it than it is to remember it. So when I was 13, I met a boy. I say boy. He was older, he was good looking, he drove a cool car, all the really important things that women need to look for in men. My aspirations. He was charming, he was amazing, everything you'd possibly imagine, and I did fall deeply, madly in love with him. And it was very quick, but this was my first relationship. I had no gauge, no expectation. and it was incredible for about a month.